We'll welcome in Greg Byrne in the afternoon. Greg, I hope you're having a great day, sir. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, I put up a question, and I said, give me a couple of questions that I should ask the athletic director. And probably about 8 out of the 10 said, how is Nick Saban doing? What's the latest? So have you talked to Coach Saban post-surgery?
Well, I talked to him yesterday, but we have not talked today. So, I know he's in really good hands, and everything will be very successful.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of questions around Coach Saban, and certainly as he reminded us a couple of weeks ago, he said, I want to get this done where I can not just coach one more year, but many more years. I guess as an athletic director, that's good news when you hear Coach Saban say that.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I mean, his energy that he brings to our program is remarkable, and people say, well, that's the right thing you're supposed to say. I really have enjoyed working with him. He has been outstanding to work with, and so we've made it really clear with the contracts we've done, and just his comments and our comments is that he's got a lot of energy left to coach for many more years to come, and we're fortunate that that's the case.
Greg, when you look at Nick Saban and what he's been able to accomplish in 12 years, going into his 13th year, is this something that you begin to think about, how you're going to honor him with what he's been able to make a contribution? I mean, we do it from time to time, and, we throw up conversations of naming streets or finding, a way to 15th Street to become Nick Saban Avenue or Boulevard or whatever. But is that something on the radar that you begin to kind of think about the impact that he's able to make, or is that something that you kind of do post when he retires?
Well, the impact that he and Miss Terry both have made on our football program, on our athletic department, our university, our community, the state, the game of college football is almost immeasurable. And we actually have processes here at the university. Our board of trustees is very involved when it comes to how those things are decided on our campus and our university. But obviously, the impact they have made is incredible, and I know I know that's something in proper time through our trustees that will obviously be recognized.
Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium kind of sounds good.
Well,
I'm just teasing.
Sure.
But anyway, just throwing that out there. That was probably one of our best recommendations that we did a complete show on at one time. But when you talk about finding home and home opponents, when you call athletic directors, how hard of a challenge is that for you? We're talking about football side of things, but how hard is it finding an opponent as you call around trying to find that home and home series?
That's the thing that's a good question, Ryan. The thing that's happens when it comes to scheduling is that sometimes there's an assumption amongst fans that they say, let's go schedule whatever school it is, and there's the assumption that they want to play us as well, and so those are challenging conversations. I will not obviously single out any institution, but I can tell you I have called schools and said, hey, it's Greg talking to the AD at the other school, and say let's talk about a home and home, and they'll say, well, really not interested, to be honest. And that's part of the conversations at times. And schools have the right to do that. They may have different geographical areas they're trying to get to from a scheduling standpoint. There may be a competitive side to it that they're considering as well. And anyways, it's just something that we've been more aggressive, and Coach Saban's been really supportive of this, of trying to bring some home and homes to the university, and that's, I think, gone over very well with our fan base. And obviously when you start throwing Texas and West Virginia and Oklahoma and Notre Dame into our future discussions for home and homes, I think that'll be something that'll be exciting. And I'm sure we'll have some more of those in the future as well. But I think our fans are also finding out that you have to really schedule these way far in advance. The fact we were able to get the Texas series done in 22-23, literally, if you try to schedule another home and home for those types of time frames, it would be almost impossible to do because everybody's schedule's locked up.
Greg, when you look at Nick Saban, for years we've been down at the SEC spring meetings, and at times when I was down covering the event, he would be by himself with this 9-conference game. Do you ever think we could revisit that? I mean, do you feel like that we could move that to that? Because, I mean, I know he hasn't had a lot of friends out there helping him push that ninth conference game. Do you see that as a possibility in the future?
Yeah, and we brought it up several times, and for different reasons, and everybody has their right to their opinion, but there hasn't been a whole lot of support for it. He and I talk about regularly. That's good for the game of football. That keeps people interested in what we're doing, and I do think the more games we can have against the Autonomy 5 conferences, Power 5 conferences, whatever you want to call it, is a good thing for the game of college football. Now, we're not going to go overschedule ourselves and play at a level that nobody else is playing. We have to be smart about that because we want to go compete for the CFP and compete for national championships. And you could overschedule yourself in that manner. But if everybody else you're playing against is doing the exact same thing, then that's good for the game. So, I think that's one of the things we have to think about long term in the decisions that we make when it comes to legislation and at the NCAA level and as well at the Southeastern Conference level. We have to make decisions that are good for the game of football because of the importance of what that sport means to our institutions in the Southeastern Conference and across the country. And one of the things I think I'm on the NCAA Football Oversight Committee, and I say in our meetings, I was just in Indianapolis last week at a meeting, is a lot of the things you hear Coach Saban talk about isn't necessarily what is best for Alabama. It's a lot of it's very college football centric, and he deserves a lot of credit for that because he cares so much about the game.
We're talking to Greg Byrne, the athletic director at the University of Alabama. Can you provide us an update with fundraising and some of the things, the construction projects that'll be going on, and when will those really start? I know football, I think it's the first swing at things, and then other things have planned. Can you provide an update with that?
Yeah, we've already had the softball plans passed by our trustees, and so that will start. That'll be in the next. We want to have it ready for the 2020 season because we'll host the SECs that year, and so we'll get some work going on that here sooner than later. Then the other projects will go to the trustees in June. Dr. Bell and the trustees have all been very supportive of this. And then we'll, if things go as we hope, we'll start the football projects after next football season and get going on that right away. And then the fundraising's gone well. We still need to raise more money, but we've had a phase one goal of about $88 million in fundraising dollars, and we're already at about 111 million. And then if you take where you want to be from overall 10-year plan, which was the $600 million, and that's Tide Pride. That's a lot of buckets that all fill that up, and some of those are forecasting dollars, but we're over $200 million there. So the fundraising has been very successful. Our donors have been excellent. Their generosity is really, our generosity from our fans across the board is what separates us as a program, and the response they've had with the Crimson Standard we've been very fortunate for.
Let's go to the basketball side of things. How much a debate was there? This is another, probably I got 4 people that asked me, you got to ask him about the Coleman Coliseum renovation. How much was there debate in actually starting new and really, and then how much debate was it just about renovating Coleman Coliseum?
Well, we wanted to study the bones, and we did. We used Populous Architects, and they got in there and they felt like the structure itself is sound, and that in order to build a new arena, we were talking probably another $75 million plus, and that was just in our early looks at that. However, the thing we still have to do is we have to find an economic model that works for this, and that the plan is that as of right now is to have that be part of phase 2 of the Crimson Standard. But one of the things too, Ryan, that we've said is when we unveiled the Crimson Standard in August of 2018. And I said that day, I said, what it looked like in August of 17 when we started kicking this around is very different than how it looked in August of 18. This will continue to be fluid, and as we continue to study, as we continue to find out more about what the market will support and not support, that'll help shape what we have too. And so I think what we did was created a big picture plan for a 10-year period, and how the timing of projects, the funding of projects will all be dependent on the more we learn. and we'll try to give everybody an update here later this summer, I think, to just say, okay, here's where we are a year after we've announced it, and here's some other time frames, and here's some other information, and some things that'll probably change too, and that'll be part of this process as well.
Greg, if you could look at Coleman Coliseum, because people are going, let's not put a Band-Aid. I think a few years ago, that was a Band-Aid that was placed on Coleman Coliseum. Yes, it was much needed, but it still didn't change a lot of the atmosphere. Is this goal, would this goal to maybe change some of that, increase the seats, try to find them a little bit closer to the court? What is some of the goals that you would like to have in this renovation?
Well, we want to make it a lot more intimate, and we want to get the students down on the floor, and we want to create areas of the arena that maybe some from a fan amenity standpoint that we haven't been able to offer before from a club standpoint. But if, for instance, if we can get the top of the arena 42 feet closer to the floor, that will make it much more intimate. If we can have it be at a higher pitch and than what we currently have, that'll help that atmosphere as well. And so it's something that it's multiple things that we're trying to accomplish, and obviously set up Alabama men's and women's basketball as well as gymnastics for the next 30, 40 years from an infrastructure standpoint. And so we've taken an early swing at that, of what it looks like, and then when the opportunity comes along and the funding is allowing us to do it, then we will do our best to move the project forward in a timely manner.
Well, when that happens, are you expecting that the basketball team is going to have to, or both men's and women's gymnastics, will there have to be alternative venues?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
Florida went and basically they were able to do all their work in one off season, and then they took their non-conference games on the road for that next season. And then by the SEC season coming along, they were able to play their home games in the O'Connell Center. We just don't know enough yet, and until we can start developing the plans a little further than from kind of the big picture plan that we put together, we won't know. That would be the goal, is to have it be as least disruptive as possible. Then that may mean you do it over 2 seasons. That may mean you take your non-conference games on the road. That may mean that you have to go play elsewhere for an entire year. Where that would be, I'm not sure. I don't know if there's a lot of good solutions to that. However, we at the end of the day, what you want to do is have a plan that works for the long-term health of our program, and that's what we'll do.
Final question. If someone out there, and because of Alabama, and I always like to say, I've been doing radio for 19 years in Tuscaloosa, and I've watched the brand of the University of Alabama grow, increase, and we take probably 60% of our calls are from outside of the state. We cover Alabama athletics, and if someone out there has an interest in getting involved, how do you recommend someone out there that says, "Hey, I want to be a booster. I want to. I see what you guys are doing, and I want to get behind that." How do you tell people to get involved, and how you can encourage them to engage with you guys?
Well, there's multiple ways. One is obviously if you can be a Tide Pride supporter and ticket holder for not only football, but a lot of our sports, and we do have obviously we're fortunate to have a waiting list there from football standpoint, but we have opportunities in all of our other sports from a season ticket standpoint, and sometimes even individual games. And then from a giving standpoint, on top of what Tide Pride offers, we have the Crimson Tide Foundation, and that's where people can give gifts, in the hundreds of dollars to multi-million dollars, and we appreciate what everybody does, whatever it may be. One of the things that we're really working hard to do is have all of our fans, whether I'll use Bryant Denny as an example. If you're sitting on the box in the 50-yard line, or if you're sitting at the very top row of the south or north end zone, we appreciate each and every person being there and supporting the program in the manner that they can, and that gives us the best opportunity to continue to support our program in a manner that our fan base, our alumni base wants us to compete at. But it takes all of us being involved, and we have a great history of that here at Alabama, and we want to have that do nothing but continue for the future. And each and every person's generosity and support is critical for the future, because it just doesn't happen by itself. I get a lot of comments about different facilities or projects we need to work on or teams we need to have, and sometimes I get those comments from people who are supporting the program, and others I get from people, and I look and they maybe bought a ticket 20 years ago to a game, and I say, hey, we could sure use help a little bit more than that, and some people do, and we appreciate that. But one of the things that's so special about what Alabama is how many people care deeply about our institution and its success, and we would not have the success that we have had historically, and we want to have again in the future, if it wasn't for the great support of our fans everywhere.
Yeah, I'm just curious, how has your opinion changed? Because you have this opinion of Alabama fans, right, coming into the program, and now you've been working with them for a couple of years. Has your opinion changed? Because it's kind of fun to see the passion and the energy and what they demand and what they create. It's kind of fun to see. How has your opinion changed from the time that you maybe going in, you have this sort of perception, then you get here and you go, wow, I'm kind of blown away. I mean,
yeah, it's everything I imagined and then some. Just the passion across the board, and obviously, Ryan, for our time in Starkville, we spent a lot of time here over the years.
Sure.
Regina would come here to Target, so she made regular trips. But I obviously knew Coach Moore so well, and he treated me better than I deserved as a really young AD when I was at Mississippi State, and certainly had great respect for the tradition here, and I knew Bill Battle and still obviously very close to him today. But until you're here, until you sit in the chair and experience it, and even this will, my third year now, and just every day, there are just reminders of how special a place this is, and the passion that people have, and how that separates us from pretty much any program in the country. And that's something we cannot take for granted, and we just want to do everything we can to continue to have that grow. And our industry, college athletics, is changing pretty dramatically right now, and so it's so important that you are respectful and you honor your tradition, and ours is as rich as anybody in the country, and at the same time too that we continue to evolve with how things change. And Coach Saban is an incredible example of that, how he continues to evolve as a coach and develop who he is, and we need to make sure we do the same thing as a department.
You can connect with him on the Twitter account at Greg_Byrne, the athletic director at the University of Alabama. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Ryan. You too.